It's 1954. One company is doing 25 million in sales. No stores, no ads, no traditional salespeople. Just women in living rooms selling plastic bowls. By the 1990s, it's $1 billion global empire. Millions of consultants. Tupperware has become a verb. But by September of 2024, Chapter 11 bankruptcy. But here's what nobody talks about. The seeds of Tupperware's destruction were planted in 1958 when the founder fired the woman who made him rich, literally buried her books in a pit, sold the company, and fled to Costa Rica. This isn't about plastic containers. This is a story about ego, betrayal, and what happens when you protect your past instead of building your future. The Chemist. 1937. Earl Silas Tupper, a farmer's son from New Hampshire. He has a 10th grade education and a massive chip on his shoulder. He starts by working at DuPont, where he's experimenting with polyethylene slag. In English, an oil refinery garbage that nobody wanted. Everyone else saw waste, but Tupper saw a possibility. He figured out how to purify it, mold it, make it flexible, durable, and then food safe. In 1946, he creates the 1 Delir bowl with a burping seal. Press out the air, the lid clicks, and food stays fresh for days. Now you have to remember, this is post-war America. Refrigerators aren't everywhere yet. Families are stretching every dollar, and Tupperware solves a real problem. In 1946, they launched the 1 Delir bowl and do under $100,000 in revenue. By 1947, through industrial orders, sales explode to $5 million. But here's the problem. It's sitting on department store shelves, gathering dust. Nobody knows how to use it. The seal's too new, it's too weird. Tupper, genius inventor, but a terrible salesperson. Enter Brownie Wise, the saleswoman. Brownie Wise is a single mom from Detroit, divorced from a violent husband and raising a kid by herself. She's selling Stanley home products door to door when she discovers Tupperware. And she has an idea. What if you didn't sell it in stores at all? What if instead you sell it in living rooms? She starts hosting poly tea parties at homes where friends invite their friends. She demonstrates the burp, drops the bowl on the floor to show them it won't break. By 1949, Wise and her team are selling $150,000 worth of Tupperware. From the parties, more than any department store can sell the product. And Earl Tupper notices. In 1951, he makes her VP of a new division, Tupperware Home Parties. And here's the key decision. On Brownie's recommendation, Tupper pulls all Tupperware products from all retail stores. They move to a 100% party sales model. No stores, no ads, just women selling to women in living rooms. It was insane, revolutionary, and it worked. The empire. What Brownie Wise built wasn't a sales force, it was a movement. In 1954, she was the first woman ever to be on the cover of Business Week. She creates the annual Jubilee, which is a massive celebration where top sellers win cars, trips, fur coats. There's a big dig where women literally dig up the earth to unbury their prizes. She ends up publishing a magazine, giving speeches, and becomes the face of Tupperware. They end up growing 900% in 5 years. Earl Tupper got rich, and Brownie Wise made him very, very rich. But that's also when everything goes wrong. The falling out. Earl Tupper, an introvert. He's a tinkerer and he always hated the spotlight. Brownie Wise, the show woman. She loved it. She loved being in the spotlight and really having a lot of people around her. The media also loved her. Every story about Tupperware becomes a story about Brownie Wise. In 1954, she publishes her autobiography, Best Wishes, Brownie Wise. Tupper is furious. He accuses her of undermining the company image. Her official reason for being fired is that she allegedly uses a Tupperware container as a dog dish just to show how bad the relationship has gotten. But the real reason is that she's getting all of the credit, and Earl Tupper, as the inventor, couldn't stand it. In January 1958, Brownie Wise is fired. She owned no stock, and her house, her car, all company property, all gone overnight. She sues the company for $1.6 million and ends up settling for $30,000. And here's a detail that tells you everything you need to know about Earl Tupper. After firing her, he gathered up every copy of her autobiography he could find and literally buried it in a pit near company headquarters. He buried all of her books. The exit. 5 months later, Tupper sells the company to Rexall Drug for $16 million, divorces his wife, moves to Costa Rica, and never returns to the United States. He ends up dying in Costa Rica in 1983, along with all of his patents for Tupperware products. Brownie Wise, after Tupperware, she tries to start a cosmetic company, which ends up failing, works in real estate and kind of fades into obscurity, and she ends up dying in 1992. The inventor and the saleswoman, both gone before the company is anywhere near its peak of success. But the seeds of destruction have already been planted. Let me show you something that explains a lot about what went wrong with Tupperware and how they ended up being bankrupt. Between 1958 and 2024, Tupperware had 7 different corporate parents. In 1958, Rexall Drug acquires the company for $16 million. By 1969, Rexall becomes Dart Industries. In 1980, Dart merges with Kraft. In 1986, they demerger and they become Premark International. In 1996, Tupperware spins off, IPOs at $18 per share. 2013, it peaks at $3.6 billion of market cap, and then by 2024, files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and sold for scraps. By 2026, it's worth less than $1 million. And the problem is every few years there's a new owner, new management, and new strategy. Nobody's minding the store long enough to adapt to the rapid changes that the business needs to undertake to stay relevant. And the world was changing fast. All the women left. Remember, the Tupperware party worked in the 1950s because at the time, women were at home. They had free afternoons, limited job options, and the party was both an income source and community for them. But by the 1980s, women are re-entering the workforce in record numbers. By 2000, 60% of American women work outside the home. Nobody's home to host those parties. Nobody's home to attend them either. Tupperware sees this happening. And what do they decide to do? They double down on parties, which leads to the huge digital miss. Here's where Tupperware makes the fatal mistake. By the 1990s, early 2000s, e-commerce is exploding between Amazon, direct-to-consumer. People want to buy online. And what was Tupperware's response? We can't sell online. It'll hurt our consultants. They're the backbone of this company. So afraid of disrupting their own model, they let the world completely pass them by. Major competitors like OXO dominate on Amazon, in Target, on Instagram. Rubbermaid, every Walmart, and every grocery store across America. What is Tupperware doing? Still asking you to RSVP to a party. The brand aged out literally. Young consumers saw Tupperware as a nostalgic, dated product that's something that was like their grandmother used. The other big problem was that management ran it like a marketing company, not a product company, which is at its roots. Over 60 years, there's no innovation, no new materials, no new designs that really matter that their customers care about. In addition to missing online entirely, they didn't leverage the community that they'd built. They didn't tap into direct marketing opportunities to extend past just throwing more parties. But in 2020, COVID gives them one last chance. Everyone's at home, cooking, storing all their leftovers, and sales spiked. In 2019, Tupperware had done about $1.8 billion in sales pre-COVID. 2020, that ticks up to $1.9 billion, but their sales are collapsing. In 2021, they do $1.6 billion. 2023, they do $1.1 billion. The sales don't last. The bump was temporary, but their problems are structural and permanent. Their debt mounts, their revenue falls. They have to start closing manufacturing plant, and they have to start exiting markets. In April 2023, the stock hits $1.30 a share when they warn that they have substantial doubt about the company's ability to continue as an ongoing concern. Translate that to English, we think we're going to default on our debt. And they do. In September 2024, they file for Chapter 11. By November of 2024, they're sold for scraps. A company that did $25 million in 1954 and peaked at over $1 billion in sales, just gone like that. Let's talk about who ate Tupperware's lunch. First, Rubbermaid. They dominated mass retail. They were everywhere, affordable, and good enough. They took the channel that Tupperware abandoned and dominated it better than Tupperware ever could. The other big player, OXO, a design-first, modern, ergonomic product and company. They didn't sell you containers, they sold a better daily life. They embraced e-commerce from day one. And really what happened was Tupperware's competitors weren't better at making containers. They were just better at selling where customers actually shop. So what can we learn from all of this? Lesson 1, your distribution advantage can become your prison. The party model was revolutionary in 1951. By 2010, it was a liability. They protected the past instead of building the future that needed to be built to protect the company's legacy. Lesson 2, channel conflict is inevitable. Avoiding it is fatal. They were so afraid of upsetting their consultants and party model that they missed e-commerce entirely. They didn't leverage the community that they'd built. They didn't tap into new direct marketing opportunities to continue to grow the brand. There was short-term peace, but it ended with long-term death. Lesson 3, decide whether you're a product company or a marketing company. Tupperware was really a brilliant innovation, but ended up being run like a marketing company, not a product company. They ignored the importance of maintaining patents, and they let competition flood the market. They focused on selling what they had, not making what people wanted, or inventing the next iteration of the category. The containers have barely changed in over 50 years. Meanwhile, competitors constantly innovated. Lesson 4, first doesn't mean forever. Tupperware invented the category, but inventing doesn't guarantee survival. Adaptation does. So where do we go from here? Let's pretend that I'm the CEO of Tupperware for a minute and I'm in charge of leading the turnaround for the company. If I take over Tupperware tomorrow, what do I actually do to make this a viable business again? Here are my 3 plays. Play 1, become the #1 TikTok shop seller. Tupperware's original magic was live demonstrations showing the product in action to your core customers. That's exactly what TikTok shop is in the 2020s. Forget living room parties. The living room is now in your phone. There are millions of creators, billions of views. It's native commerce. It's a perfect match for what Tupperware should be crushing it, because could you imagine on TikTok Shop, the burp seal? That's viral content waiting to happen. Play 2, give consultants e-commerce storefronts. Don't kill the consultant model because it is the backbone of the company, but digitize it. Every consultant gets their own branded online storefront, their own link, and they can drive their own audience to purchase from a Tupperware site. They become influencers, the modern day party hosts. It's the same community, the same earning model, but modern distribution. Play 3, become the Volkswagen of plastics. Remember the Volkswagen emissions scandal and Dieselgate? Probably not, because they didn't hide. They leaned into that problem, became one of the biggest EV commitments in the world, and now you don't really remember how they had a massive issue. Tupperware should do the same thing with sustainability. Listen, yes, they sell plastics, they just need to own it. They need to lead the reusability movement, making containers that last decades, have buyback programs, recycling initiatives, just like Patagonia. Don't run from the problem, be the solution. The Tupperware brand still has recognition, it still has nostalgia, and it still has a sales force. What it doesn't have is leadership willing to blow up what worked in 1954 to build what works for today and beyond. Tupperware went from a $25 million brand in 1954 to over $1 billion in sales in the 90s. They employed millions of women worldwide and changed how we store food. They invented a category, then watched it all slip away because they couldn't let it go of what made them great. The real takeaway here is being the best brand in one era doesn't guarantee success in the next. Even iconic brands have to evolve or they become a cautionary tale. If this was useful, hit subscribe. I'm going to do more deep dive on billion-dollar failures. And for the next episode, drop a comment down below with what brand you want us to see cover next.